What's good, Jealous Noble? This is my first video on the channel since we just hit 1K, so I want to give a huge thank you to every single one of you. I appreciate it a lot, and I'm going to be dropping a free loop kit soon as a thank you. Today, I'm going to be breaking down two samples. The first is a virtual one I did with my boy Ala, and the second is a rage one. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Alright, so before I break this first sample down, this is what it sounds like. Crazy. So I started this sample off with this MIDI from my guy Ala, but because I only have the trial version of Serum, I had to render it out. For effects here, I have an EQ to cut the lows and then a slight pan man. And then I just have the gentle modulation preset on Sketch Cassette with the flutter down, the mellow ambience preset on Valhalla, and a slight delay. So from here, I went into my boy XY's kit. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but I think it's Avant-Garde. And I went into the run section and found one that sounded like this. And after I set that to the correct pitch and time and added effects, it sounded like this. So as you can see, I'm doing some pretty heavy processing here. I won't go through every plugin, but one of the most important ones here is this Like Water preset from Steven Schaefer and Pilgrim's Portal Bank. And I'm also using the Sharpened Crystals preset from that same bank. So yeah, when you put those first two sounds together with effects, you get this. So for the bass, I went back into Serum, but I unfortunately had to render this one out as well. I chose this one mainly because it's a stab bass, but also because it's got a little bit of delay to it, so it fits well with the delay of the actual starter. And with the first two aspects. So after the bass, I opened up Nexus 3 and found this preset called Basic Sign. So one thing that I like to do a lot with leads, which is exactly what I did here, is freestyle on my MIDI keyboard and then just take parts that I recorded and randomly pitch them up an octave. It helps to maintain repetition each 4 bars while also adding some variety. And yeah, again, Like Water from Portal is coming in clutch here. This is what the lead sounds like without Portal. And with Portal. So for arrangement in the hook, I'm having the more complicated part play, which sounds like this. And then in the verse, I only have the chords play on each bar. For master effects, I just have what I usually use, which is the mellow ambience of Valhalla and the gentle modulation on Sketch Cassette with the flutter down. So after master effects, arrangement, and all that, this is what the final sample sounds like. Alright, so the last sample is more of a virtual kind of oozy feel, and I made that one with a MIDI, but this one is completely from scratch, and it's more of a rage type of loop. This is what it sounds like. Crazy. So the main VST I'm using for this whole sample is called Vital. It doesn't have a lot of presets, but the ones that it does have are definitely unique. So for the start of the sample, I'm using this preset. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's what it's called. This preset is actually in the bass category, and it's definitely not supposed to be used for chords because you'll hear when I play it that it's really off time, but I'm also going to show how I fix that. And here's what it sounds like after some chopping and effects. And yes, so the Tremolator plugin is doing a lot of the work here. I just have it on the default preset. So the next thing I added from Vital was also meant to be used as a bass, but here I use it as a lead. Here's the preset name. Here's what it sounds like with some effects. And here's what it sounds like rendered out with the chords. From here, I went to one of my go-to plugins called Analog Lab, and I found this preset called ABC7 Marimba. For effects here, I'm pretty much using the plugins that I always use. The most important thing is this delay. Here's what the MIDI sounds like. And because Analog Lab sounds are generally much smoother than Vital sounds, they sound really good and have a nice contrast when you put them with the chords. Here's what that sounds like. So for the more simple stab bass of the sample, I'm using this bass from Diva called Deep Unison. You'll notice in the MIDI that I'm having certain parts go up an octave to add some variation. From here, I copied that MIDI into a bass from Vital called Digestive Trauma. This is definitely the most aggressive and unique part of the sample, and it sounds like something you would hear in future bass. And then for my favorite part of the sample, which is the switch up section, I added Tremolator on the bass, which sounds like this. So to switch between sections, I'm using this transition from me and Kobe's new sound kit. It's called Nirvana and it is out right now. Link should be the first in the description. This kit has everything you need. It has an entire one-shot kit, samples, MIDI, starters, all my mixer presets, and on top of that, it has a go-to diva bank of my favorite presets from the VST. And yeah, it's out right now, so make sure you go cop that. And this transition is actually in the one-shot kit. Here's what it sounds like. The last part of this sample comes in the third section. It's that same basic sine preset from Nexus 3 that I used in the first sample. I heard this little riff in my head, so I recorded it on my MIDI and then pitch the second part down an octave. And here's what that lead sounds like coming off the transition from the second section into the third. Crazy. That's going to be about it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to subscribe and also hit the like button. It really does help out my channel a lot. I want to thank you all so much for 1K. Seriously, it's been a huge goal ever since I started this channel, and I'm grateful as fuck for every single one of you. As a thank you, I'm going to be dropping a free loop kit soon, so be on the lookout for that. Make sure you go cop the Nirvana sound kit I did with Kobe. Link is the first in the description. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play a beat I made with one of these samples now. So I'm out of here. Peace.
Made another one. Hey, Noble.